Hi, Aquarius, Sun and Rising. Welcome to your August 2025 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, one of the things I'm going to do before I get into this month and the new transits that are coming along, I'm going to talk about a few things that are coming into August because as I record this, they may not have even happened yet. I know one that didn't happen yet. And I want people that are listening in July to realize that they will carry into the month of August, and that will shape how the month begins because one of them is a Mercury retrograde that begins in July. I believe it's July 18th and carries through until August 11th when it goes direct, when Mercury goes direct at 4 degrees of Leo. And this is going to be in your seventh house of relationships. And, Leo is your opposite sign, so it's that seventh house of relationships. And how this may affect you is, for instance, if you have a misunderstanding within a one-on-one relationship, and that the relationship that we typically talk about is your significant other. It can also be if there is something that you're rethinking. So are you rethinking coupling with someone or even uncoupling with them? It can go both ways. If you had a divorce already in the works and you have a change of heart, but with Mercury, we'd say it's a change of mind. And the seventh house is also the house of legal affairs. So there could be some kind of issue. Mercury can be paperwork, and even if you're going to get a wedding license and they spell your name wrong, it could be something as simple as that, but that could delay things. So that is what that's one thing that I wanted to mention. And then the other thing is that Venus and Jupiter are in Cancer as the month begins. And the significance for you is that this is the sixth house of work, health, and your daily schedule. So Venus will be changing signs later in August, but Jupiter is going to be in the sector for the upcoming 12 months, or when I'm recording this is probably like until June of 2026. Let's put it that way. So from August, it would be like 10 months. And so both of these planets are considered benefic planets, meaning that their effects tend to be very positive for people. Now, I don't want to get too much into that because I believe like Saturn and Pluto and those kinds of planets that are called malefic planets in Vedic astrology can be more, they can be beneficial for us as well, even if they may challenge us a lot. So I don't want to be simplistic, but by the same token, it is nice when you have both of the benefics in the same sign because they will tend to be transiting the same house at the same time. They're not going to be forming a conjunction because at that point, Jupiter will be further along. I don't know. I actually don't have the ephemeris in front of me, but Venus is very fast moving. So regardless, it would be a very fleeting thing if they were in conjunction. But that probably is more likely in July. But in any case, yes, as a matter of fact, I just checked, and Venus doesn't even go into Cancer until the 30th of July. So it's late for that. I'm trying to see at what date they might meet up. Okay, they're going to meet up around, I would say, and it won't even be exact, but it'll be close enough. Around the 13th and 14th of the month. There'll be a 12th and 13th. They'll be like a degree apart. And so basically why I'm saying this is because that's when they strengthen that bond. And for you, this is in the 6th house. So this could be something where you have a lucky break with work matters, or maybe you get that perfect job that you wanted and it pays, it's much more lucrative or something like that. So you should have some good fortune in August as it pertains to work matters or health matters, the perfect practitioner, just feeling great, physically, whatever is going on in your life. So those are the two things I just wanted to kind of start out with. And on the 6th of the month, Mars moves into fellow air sign Libra, and this is going to be your 9th house. When Mars is in the 9th house, it can give a person wanderlust, because one of the big areas of 9th house is long distance travel. And it can make somebody very, maybe in some cases it's being antsy, impatient, wanting to travel somewhere. Especially since Mars hasn't been in Libra for a long time. And in this house, this could be very, this could really push you to do something like that. Now, this could also be something that you're really pouring a lot of energy into that is not 9th house related. So one big area is that this is the God house. And this indicates that you may be diving into spiritual matters, maybe even like practicing something. For instance, yoga or something along those lines. I would say especially things like hatha yoga, because it has it's a physical component in terms of the spiritual effects. The 9th house can also be the law, but it's more of the law itself rather than the courtroom action, the specifics of a particular legal case. That would be more like the 7th house. And that's where you have the Mercury retrograde. So there might be some kind of connection with those two transits. On the 9th, you have a full moon in your sign, Aquarius, at 17 degrees. If you are an earlier degree, earlier than 17 degrees Aquarius, so definitely if you're born in January and the first week in February, a little bit more than that, or your ascendant is 0 to 16 degrees of Aquarius, this is going to fall in your 12th house. And this is going to be more of a spiritual kind of a release. This could also be very prophetic for those of you with that placement, where it's this is the house of the dream state, and you may have some kind of dream that illuminates something for you. But for the rest of you, this will be in the 1st house. So it's a more visible place. So the effects can be more in your face about something ending in your life. Remember that with full moons, the sun is opposing at the same degree. So that would be from the 7th house of relationships. And this is during a Mercury retrograde. So I do believe it's possible that there are some Aquarians who may end a relationship in August. And I think that if this is the case, there's going to be a realization of how that relationship is affecting you, because the full moon is in that first house. Now if it falls in the 12th, it could still be, I still think that that could be in play, because of course it could affect the work area. So for instance, you may realize that your work environment is affecting your mental health. But I really believe that even with the 12th house um, full moon, that the Mercury retrograde in the 7th house could be a rethinking, because you already had like Mars here back in retrograding in December, but I mean hanging out in Leo for a long time in that 7th house. And so there are people, I even think that it could have not jump started, but kind of like, what's that word? Made it like prematurely, like you got into a relationship prematurely because of that extended Mars in Leo. And it could have been because of sexual attraction versus really having compatibility with that person. And this is not, I don't think that, I think this is pretty atypical for Aquarians, because you do tend to be more detached, and you wouldn't necessarily be keen on getting involved in a monogamous relationship right away. But because Mars retrograded in the 7th house, and it even slowed down before then, it hung out there for a really long time. And so it's kind of like those embers burn really brightly and last a really long time. And so what can happen is, with the Mercury retrograde, you can kind of rethink this commitment. And with the full moon in your sign, you can see how this has affected you, or if it's in the, in the first house, but even in the 12th house, it can be something where you can see maybe even the karmic patterns and break them, because and it's even connected, like if it's in the 12th, because this is going to affect half of the people, half of the Aquarians, it will, have it in the 12th house. It can be like a self-destructive pattern. Maybe this is something that has happened to you before, where you have allowed yourself to kind of move too quickly through something because for the wrong reasons, and you can nip it in the bud, in other words, and see how it is really impacting you, even whether it's in the first or the 12th house. But I think in the first house, it's like very acutely like you and what your needs are, and how that is infringing upon your needs. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Virgo, and this for you is the 8th house. This, I think, is very interesting and very important. I think this is very important for you, Aquarius, because you're also going to have, the very next day, there's going to be a new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo. This is called a black moon because in July, there is a new moon in Leo on the 24th. So technically, within 30 days, there have been 2 new moons. Now, they're in different signs, but it's still considered a black moon, just like with blue moons and full moons. There's also going to be another new moon in Virgo that's at 29 degrees of Virgo on the 21st of September. That one, we can say pretty assuredly, is going to be in your 8th house. This one could very well, because it's at 0 degrees, be in your 7th house of committed partnership. And the reason that this is so significant is because I'm going to be talking more about the eighth house effects. But if it's in your seventh house, it's in the house of relationships where you have had the Mercury retrograde. So it's like a new chapter of relationship. And that can be uncoupling. That could be the story of that relationship, is that you are now single again. Now, sometimes when I say these things, people don't like to hear it because I notice, sometimes that, people don't respond. Maybe they're not very happy to hear that. But here's the thing. This is a very important juncture in your life. In my opinion, Aquarius, and it has been. First of all, you have Pluto recently entering your sign, and Pluto is one of the rulers of the eighth house, where ostensibly, not necessarily what's happening for you, but Virgo is supposed to be your eighth house cusp. But the first new moon could very well be in that seventh house, and that could be a new chapter in your relationship, like it ending, even though it's a new moon. But the second one will very likely be in that eighth house, and that one is a solar eclipse. So because it's speaking about issues of transformation, which is the same theme as Pluto being in your sign, transiting your sign, it kind of is a double whammy, if you will. Because that particular solar eclipse could also be, I think, viewed as a black moon. The reason that black moons are even brought up is because they are supposed to contain a greater amount of power for manifestation. Also, you have to take note of the one on August 23rd that it's at 0 degrees. So we talk about 0 point, kind of like the womb of creation, if you will. And so something is really asking of you to kind of be reborn. There's like a theme of rebirth here with the eighth house. And, the eighth house can be the house of death, but that's the death of the old. And this is a new type of energy, being a new moon. So it's like, how do you want to reinvent yourself at the deepest level? And on the 25th, Venus goes into Leo. So Venus is going into your opposite sign, and Mercury has already gone direct by now, and you have Venus in the seventh house. This can be some kind of harmony, romance, something positive that is transpiring in this house of partnerships, but it can also be money with any kind of legal matter. The very next day, Mercury comes out of its shadow. So I really think that those two events are connected, that you're restoring harmony in that house of relationships. Whether or not that is you resolving something with a partner is up for interpretation, and it may mean that you feel a lot more positive about things. Because if you have been having issues, and the full moon, by the way, can bring up some kind of secrets to the surface, especially, when you're talking about this opposition from the first to the seventh house. But I will say that the full moon is landing in your first house, or for some in the 12th. And so it's not really about the other person. It's really about yourself, and maybe some kind of denial that you are under, delusion, what have you. So this is I think this is a very profound period of time, especially in this, because of that, the full moon as well as the new moon. I think that there's something going on here that is really assisting that Pluto transit and in helping you to transform yourself at the deepest level. Okay, Aquarius, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I have astrological readings. I do chart analysis and transits for the upcoming 12 months. I have a package deal called Deep Dive, which is a combination of those readings for a special price. Each of those readings is an hour in length. And if you like the tarot, I have one that I throw that one in, a full-length tarot reading called The Whole Enchilada. I have career readings, love readings. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thank you for listening. Bye.